Buffalo ends up beating Pittsburgh 31-17. It was a one-score game in the fourth quarter. The Steelers had the ball, matriculating the ball down the field, and they end up losing by 2 scores, actually a little more than 2 scores in this game. The game was postponed for 27 and a half hours, the delay on that. The game itself, not much of a talker. The fireworks happened after the game. The head coach of the Steelers made sure to feed the content kitty. We would like to thank the head coach here because we send out a collection plate to all the coaches and the players, and they need to fill the collection plate, the content plate, and Mike Tomlin did. So Mike Tomlin addressed the media for a few minutes, and then somebody dared ask Mike Tomlin a question about where he's going to end up. A lot of chatter that Mike Tomlin just coached his final game as the head coach in Pittsburgh. So what's going on with that? Well, let's go to the audio tape. Here is Mike Tomlin. You'll hear the question, then listen closely. Let's go to the audio tape. Here we go.
Mike, you have a year left on your contract.
There he goes. Yeah, he's walking off the podium, right? He's walking off the stage. He's walking off the stage. The reporter you heard, some woman, I don't know who that is, but she asked Tomlin about his future in Pittsburgh, saying, Mike, you have a year left on your contract, and boom, he's gone. Before the reporter could finish the question, Mike Tomlin was gone, just like a victory was gone from the Pittsburgh football team, storming off the stage, huffing and puffing. And while the Steelers have no interest, we keep being told, no interest in getting rid of Mike Tomlin. Hear this all the time. All Tomlin's chummies in the media, all his buddies in the media, they rattle that off all the time. And yet, reports have indicated that Mike Tomlin is going to have a come-to-Jesus moment here. He's going to meet with his family. So always play the family card. People can't get upset when you play the family card. You can do whatever you want with the family card. It's like a couple years ago, if you say, out of an abundance of caution, you can shut the whole world down. But now, if you say, I'm doing it for the family, nobody can question it. So Tomlin's unsure whether or not he's going to continue as coach of the Steelers. It's kind of a big deal. Tomlin's been there a long time now that Pete Carroll's gone and Belichick's gone. Tomlin is the longest tenured coach in the NFL with one team. So let us discuss the question. What do you read in to Mike Tomlin walking out when asked about his coaching future with the Pittsburgh football team? So I've got Fire Drill, Fox Family Comedy, and Chris Rock. We're going to lock all of these things together. We're going to break the internet is what we're going to do. We're going to break the internet. So number one. What Mike Tomlin did was just pour 10 gallons of credibility, 10 gallons of unleaded credibility on the reports indicating that Tomlin is looking to leave and considering leaving. It's a very prickly Mike Tomlin here. My gut says he's gone, that someone with the Steelers, whether it's the Rooney family or someone else, is going to have to talk Mike Tomlin out of it. Reading the body language, reading the general tone in the room, that seemed like someone that is thinking he's going to leave. Maybe he doesn't want to leave. His family wants him to leave, and he's going to leave. It is out of character. It is out of character. You get the whole picture with Mike Tomlin. We know who Mike Tomlin is because Mike Tomlin has been talking in front of cameras and microphones for years. And Tomlin, here's the way he handles a tough question or a tough situation. He becomes like an old Western hero in Hollywood. Right? He pumps his chest out. We don't run from challenges. We run to challenges. Right? In this case, he wasn't running to challenges. He was making a mad dash out of the room. That's not on brand for Mike Tomlin. It was like a fire drill. He had to get out of there. Now, some are saying, the Steeler lapdogs, well, it was unfair. He just lost a tough game, and how dare you try to crack the code with Mike Tomlin? So was that question unfair? And it was unfair if you're a Mr. Softy. Now, if you're a Mr. Softy, it was unfair. Any question that might be deemed difficult to answer is unfair. But it's the thing everyone is talking about, And so why would you not ask Mike Tomlin that question? Now, I didn't think he was going to answer it. He didn't answer it. But what he did by not answering is he answered it by not answering. It is literally and figuratively Mike Tomlin's job description to address the media after games. It would have been very easy for a season-savvy media guy like Mike Tomlin to dodge the question if he wanted. You say no comment, or I'm not going to discuss that right now. We just played the game. Instead, he huffed and puffed and was gone like the wind. Out of there. Now, page 2. Give me your perspective on the current direction of the Pittsburgh football team. So the Steelers at this point are like a rust bucket. They're like a rust bucket. It's an old jalopy. They're just kind of idling, burning gas, not going anywhere. They're not terrible, but they're not good. They're stuck in neutral. They're stuck in the middle. They've got apparently low self-esteem. They're good enough to be a playoff team, but not good enough to really do anything in the playoffs, so they're a faux contender. They lack the wow factor. There's no razzle-dazzle on the Steelers. It's a humdrum outfit. They're like the Fox family comedy from the early 2000s, 20-plus years ago, Malcolm in the Middle. Of course, in this case, it's Tomlin in the middle, the Steelers coach there, and maybe he won't be in the middle anymore. But the Steelers have gone 7 years since last winning a playoff game. 7 years. They lead the NFL as a franchise with playoff appearances, 63 playoff games since 1970, and have now finished one and done 4 consecutive postseason appearances. One and done, one and done, one and done, one and done, one and done. Long story short, that ain't good. People are unhappy. And so now it's up to Tomlin to decide, does he want to stay? Does he want to go? TV's a great job. I just started doing TV this year. It's easy. There's a lot of people that help you out, a lot of producers, a lot of directors, especially if you're an ex-jock or a coach. It's really easy. Man, is that easy money to make in television. Now, final point. Were you impressed? Let's go to the other side. Were you impressed with Josh Allen and the Bills, their vibe in the victory over the Steelers? So was I impressed with Buffalo? Impressed would not be the right adjective. I was on the other side. I lost that game. It was the only game I got wrong on Wild Card Weekend. So for me, that stung a little bit, especially because Pittsburgh had a shot to get the backdoor cover in the fourth quarter. But I go into my email, and Bills Mafia, we got a lot of Bills fans that love this show. We're very lucky that the good folks in Western New York have found the MALLER show, the show that I do. And so Bills Mafia, I've gotten into it with Andy the comic book guy a little bit over the last couple of months, and Derek and Buffalo, some of these other yahoos. And so Bills Mafia, the general sense, and I'm gonna kind of generalize here because I don't want to read every email. There were like 4 of them. I don't want to read 4 emails. But the Bills Mafia filling up my inbox, demanding flowers. Like, well, the Bills won. They won big. They blew out Pittsburgh. You got to give them credit. Come on, Ben. Give them a little credit on the radio tonight. I want to hear a little credit. So I'm actually going to give some flowers out, but not to the Bills players or coaches. I'm going to give it to the fans. The knuckleheads who paid hundreds of dollars to go to a stadium where their seat was covered with 5 feet of snow in Orchard Park, sitting outside on a 10-degree day for 4 hours, and then I saw them tossing handfuls of snow in the air everywhere like it was confetti. Whee! We scored! Woo! Just like that. Now, as for the Buffalo in the room, as for the Bills football team, they don't get any flowers. And here's why. It is like an old school Chris Rock comedy routine from years gone by. And Chris Rock, one of the great stand-up comedians of our time, he ranted about ignorant people. Remember this rant? This probably goes back 20 years, but it still gets played on the internet and whatnot. But he had this whole shtick where he would rant about ignorant people who wanted credit for doing things that you're supposed to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like the people that brag about accomplishments when you're supposed to achieve those accomplishments, like you're supposed to have a job, you're supposed to, most people get married. These are things that happen. Well, in this case, the example would be if you're a 10-point favorite at home against a team playing a backup quarterback, in this case a third-string quarterback, without their number one defensive player, you're supposed to win that game. You don't get any flowers. You don't get any extra credit. I was not impressed. I wasn't. So that's my position on the Bills. They did what they were supposed to do. Congratulations. Now you get to play the team that you're going to lose to in Kansas City. So good luck with that. Because I'm pretty sure the Chiefs aren't going to tackle or not tackle the way the Pittsburgh Steelers were just dreadful in that particular game. But we'll see what happens next weekend.